Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on youth, community, and lifestyle. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social platforms. First, on How to Steam Your Dreams, dive into the exciting episode 2 of the 2025 DMV Capital Region Championship. Then, tune into part 2 of the City of Bowie's 2026 Special Election Candidates Forum for District 1. On Look at This, as we reflect on America's 250th Independence Day, watch the stories of Arizona's World War I heroes that continue to inspire. And on Yellow Couch Stories, media personality Autumn Joy discusses resilience, reinvention, and finding purpose beyond the spotlight. Thank you for tuning into this week's programming of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle.
We are about STEAM at the Ocean Bowl games, but what's STEAM without a little bit of PG? And by PG, we mean playground games. So one of the playground games that we're going to go into is all about safety. Our sponsor, AstraZeneca, is going to be showing our kids how safety first works. So what they're doing right now is going to be a race to get into their safety gear while staying in the parameters. So that means that it can't touch the ground, like you got to get it on with relative speed, and you got to get your glasses, your hairnet, and the suit on, and there's even little safety booties on there to make sure that when they go into, if they were scientists and they were going into work on something, that they are totally clean, they're totally sanitized, and making sure that nothing gets contaminated. So we're about to go in and see the fastest safety race ever. So here we start. You got your gloves, you got your medium, you got your small, you got your safety goggles, and you've got the band to tie the safety goggles in place, and you got your hair nets. How's it rocking? Like how easy or difficult is this?
It's difficult, I'm not gonna lie. I respect them a lot for doing this.
All right.
Yay!
Right, so we're in the thick of it, and as you can see, you can't let it touch the ground. So she like they're fighting to keep it, get it through there, get the sneaker through. almost getting a little assistance. Hop into victory. They're in. Now they just gotta put on the suit. The hairnet's already secured. Then next we got to get the safety goggles going. Unless I already missed the safety goggles. Nope, the safety goggles are on. We're almost at the. Like, I couldn't imagine having to do this every day for work, but like it's such an important part of the scientific process to make sure that everything is sterile, nothing's contaminated. So this is like, it's giving a new appreciation for the work that people do. So we got someone suited. They're not yet booted because their sneakers are still out, so now they've got to put on the safety boots. Like it's giving futuristic chic. It's giving safety zone realness. Like your mama never had drip like this. Neither your mama, your papa, your friends. Like nobody has that scientist drip, but we've got it here at the Ocean Bowl games. All right, and we've got somebody that's suited and booted. They've crossed the finish line. And they look like the future scientists of America.
I got one more quick question for everyone. I just want you to shout out the answer, okay?
Shout it out.
Your ball, do you have to wear a hairnet?
Yes! Good job.
Why? Because you still have skin on your head, right? All right, I hope you all have. Oh, you always have to wear a beard cover. What do you guys say?
Hey everybody, we got a special visitor! Woo!
this section, Learning with Jay. We are here in the Science Cam, and we are with our sponsors, AstraZeneca, who are using augmented reality to show us the human body.
And what you're going to see here is beyond virtual reality. It's augmented reality. And you're going to have a skeleton with organs appear in just a moment, and you're going to use this tool to navigate and diagnose some illnesses that we're going to treat.
All right.
Okay?
So now, is that a virus or bacteria that we're looking at?
So what we're actually looking at is metastasizing cells. These cells are reproducing, and they are cancerous. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to terminate that. So we're going to block that cell from further degradation.
Jay just saved a patient from cancer using AstraZeneca's augmented reality technology. This is something that like our kids could potentially do if they choose a career in STEM, which is why it's so important to have moments like this. And oh my goodness, those are the ovaries and a uterus.
Now we're going to try to treat ovarian cancer.
Oh wow.
What the survival rate is, a 5-year survival rate of 5 years, 93% chance of that at stage 1. But as you take it through the progression, as you see it gets worse here in the tumor, you're down to a 74% survival rate. So our goal is to try to improve that. Going up to stage 4, 31% survival rate. Okay?
Those are bad numbers.
Bad numbers, but what we're working on is trying to diagnose early and treat early.
So who are you using this app for? Like, is this for the kids like we're seeing? Like, are there wider uses for the app?
So while this is a great way to introduce kids to this sort of thing, the main thing that we're doing with it is primarily for healthcare providers' education, so that they know the type of medicines that we have and the indications that we're treating for.
Awesome.
This is true, and so happy to see so many of our next generations of scientists and doctors here with us today. Some very, very smart and interested kids.
I agree. And so does Jay.
Way to go, Jay.
Gaming is made up of many parts. So we were just in the art cam where we saw creations coming to life, but you can't have art. You need the tech to make the art pop. So over here at the technology cam, we have our students learning how to code. So they are using Arduino boards, which is basically a fancy circuit board, and they're learning how to code, and through that coding, they're making lights light up in a certain sequence. And it's just it's basic, but it's the basic stuff like that leads to games like Mortal Kombat or Ocean Bowl games for number one, or like some of your favorite video games. So this is just a really nice entry into like, hey, you could make your own games. Like,
co-lead for the Technology Cam at Ocean Bowl Games 2025 DMV. So much fun, man. We have a lot of kids who are coming through, and they're actually surprising me with how tech-savvy these kids are. In 2025, kids know everything about technology. We got them designing Arduino boards, and they're grasping the concept in roughly about 3 minutes. So it's fun watching them navigate this, be better at it than you think they'd be, and then have questions where you even got to double-check and see if you know the answer. So I'm definitely looking forward to what comes next. That was actually the junior division that just left. So they're doing phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to finishing strong for the day.
okay, like y'all seem like y'all got a lot going on in here. How much code work actually goes into this? It seems pretty intense.
Yeah, no, very much so. I learned a lot myself, but a lot of the credit, a majority of it actually goes to Coach Matt, who's over there making things happen. Yeah, nah, no worries. I'm just the face of it. I help when I can to lead a few things, but yeah, no, the hard work is up here. As you can see, we got a little code up on the screen and whatnot. And Yeah, no, the kids are doing the heavy lifting, man. They're doing a phenomenal job of learning and surprising me, and I'm taking a lot of joy in helping them out. And I'm excited to be here. Shout out to Coach Roman and the entire team.
My name is Micah, and my team is the Turbo Turtles.
Okay, the Turbo Turtles. So what did y'all do in this class?
We made this robot that can make lights, like, constantly. I don't know how to explain it, honestly.
What? Do you know how to explain it?
So it's like a robot that needs like this like QR chip thingy to make it like constantly like do lights. That's the robot, I think.
Like anything else to say about the class before y'all leave?
It was cool and it was interesting. Very fun.
Thank you. It is all about fun at Ocean Bowl Games 2025, but it's also about competing. So right now we are taking a look at the leaderboard so far. So right now we have the Sapphire Sea Serpents with 12,000 points. So they're currently in the lead. That's a lot. Like, and we're just entering part 2 of day 1. Coach, so I heard that your team is in third right now. Who is your team and what is your name?
My name is Dequan. This is Brian. We both work at the North Potomac Community Center,
Okay.
the Summer Fun Center. Right now for the junior division, our team is the Midnight Manatees. So right now we have 6,750 points. We're working our way up though. We're working our way up. I feel like we can definitely get up there. Our primary division, we are in third place. Overall, automatic year points. I see only LBT and XPG is above us. Other than that, we are in third place, looking good. I like to see that. I hope we can keep stacking up points. Hopefully we win, but I just want the kids to have fun overall.
Always. The points are coming through fast and furious. So again, this is still anybody's game. So somebody that could be in last place right now could be tomorrow's winners. We just got to stay tuned for all the action and see where we end up.
The current and the Blue Neptune, it lights up. You're missing.
Alright, so we are Team 5, and my name is Lena, my name is Kayla, and we were working on some things, trying to copy off of what the thing actually was, but every single time we were trying to mess it up. We only had a few things left that we needed to change, so we're like, what do we need to change?
Yeah, we just experimented, basically.
Yeah, we were just experimenting, and when we experimented, we just kept on asking if it's right, and eventually we just found something new out of experimenting, and we got this new result.
Very, very cool. Like, out of all the camps that you've done so far, which has been your favorite?
Camps, I think this one is the best.
This one.
Okay, all right. Potential future engineers?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it. I'm really like innovating. I think it's really cool.
Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Thank you, ladies. Outside of the competitive nature of the Ocean Bowl games, there's also a spirit of cooperation, which we're seeing in action right here as we're watching one team assist another in the engineering cam as they try to complete their circuit and turn on the lights. So what they're trying to do is help them without giving them the answer, and but like giving them some helpful hints, and hopefully we will have a completed circuit sooner than later. But it's a really good example of the sportsmanship and the spirit of teamwork that is fostered at the Ocean Bowl games.
So you have to think about what you are. So resistors slows down. And adjustment will help the positive.
This is your power up.
If you figure those out, down in that part is that, remember everything, if there's a connection, it has to have a thread. Not that, but all I'm gonna say is that, not that.
Insane, bro.
They're close, they're close. I try to figure out how that's to say it.
How did he do it so fast?
Coach, can you walk us through what happened with the teamwork that we just saw?
So what happened is Jeremy over here, he was learning as he went on, just understanding it, breaking it down. And then once he figured it out, I always say that the best way to know that you learned something is if you can teach it. So I had him go over there and help his alternate teammates and just pretty much coach them through figuring out how to do it without telling them the answers. And he broke it down to them with asking them questions, and they figured it out how to do it.
Very cool, very nice to see. And just for the effort, he will be getting extra points, correct?
That's great. Yeah, so I'm told.
All right.
You hear that? You're getting extra points for your good work because what did you do?
Thank you.
You coached them.
I think that they are vulnerable at this time, and that, you know, we absolutely do need to come with a collaborative spirit, but that now would be the great time for us to at least get planning for it.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it very much. I thought the first question was tough, but the next one may be a little tougher, guys. In my experience, here working with the citizens of Old Bowie, I've noticed that Old Bowie has long sought special recognition and support for its unique character and potential. And that has kind of taken shape over the past decade or so, and seeking to create a special arts district here, and various groups have been involved in that effort. Good idea. What is your impression of that effort as a candidate, and how do you think it could be strengthened in the future to move forward? Let's start with Sure. Old question. Old Bowie has sought special recognition for its unique character and history. And then in that context, there's been an effort to create a special arts district here in recognition of those features. How do you think that effort could be strengthened? And what's your impression of the progress that it's made since you're a resident here?
I think it's important that we bring the community together, whether it's through a task force at first, or a subcommittee together, arts committee, and I believe we already have one, to really sit and think through what should we do and how can we continue to enhance what we've already started. I love what we have over here in District 1. It's very unique when you drive from District 1 as opposed to when and I'm not saying anything against the other districts, but it's very unique. I love going and just walking the community, and I think we need to keep that sense of community and that sense of uniqueness within District 1. And I believe the first thing we need to say is start with a committee to work with the residents, to just hear from them because we have expertise within the residents.
Okay. Thank you very much. Carl?
Thank you. Bowie, Old Bowie revitalization, very important topic, an endeavor that's been going on for quite some time. We just need to make sure the city actually supports it. We have very capable people. They brief to the council on where they are. I believe this may not be an issue, but I've talked offline to some people, and one of the things, because I've talked as well about revitalizing the area, and one of the things they come back to me is let's solve the parking issues in the area. So, Mike will do that. So anyway, I fully support the revitalization of any area, especially when we're talking about Old Bowie, because it has so much rich history. Bowie's a fantastic city. And then Old Bowie is a huge part of that. It's like your grandparents. Don't throw them away and put them in the basement. Yeah, put your arms around them. And love them and care for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen?
Thank you. If you all have noted in our environmental action plan that was adopted last year, they do intend to connect our bike trails. This will help bring us together, certainly. If you are familiar with the Bowie Mitchellville plan, there will be an expansion, a big part of that, of the MARC station at Bowie State University. And these types of things will slowly bring us more together. The MARC station will bring potentially more business in, and just connecting us in a sense that, we are able, if you look at our district map, District 1, they used to designate District 1A, District 1B, and we're just connected by this little strip of 197. That is a challenge, but if the city is going to improve certainly its revenue and its overall quality of life and attractiveness, then I think Old Town needs the love, all the love it can get, and we need to embrace those types of growth. Thank you.
We have a conflict. Old Bowie is quaint homes, beautiful gardens, and a strong community. It needs some sort of arts community to revitalize that energy that's here. The issue we do have is the infrastructure. We have no parking. We have 564 that runs through the middle of what would be an awesome art district. What I think we first need to do is we have a task force already in place that the council is supposed to hear from at their next council meeting in July. We have a contractor, an advisory committee that's out there. Before we jump the gun and make any ideas or suggestions or demands, let's hear what they come back with first. Let's hear from the people we're paying and we're asking to help before we jump the gun and say, we want this, we want that. But we do need more infrastructure, and that's a requirement that the city has to come up with.
Thank you all very much. Okay, it's your turn. This is the way it's going to work. If you have a question, I would like you to line up over on the far side. This has to do with how George will be able to record this. So if you have a question at this time, if you don't mind getting up and proceeding over there, I'm going to bring you a microphone. I believe it's on, yes. And as you pose your question, if you would introduce yourself, and each of these questions will go to each of the candidates. You'll have 1 minute each.
Hi, my name is John Wilson. I'm in District over on Rockwood, in the Rockwood area. So I'm a big fan of the concept of having an arts district of some sort, because I see that this works in other places. But another thing too that was really interesting, Ms. Tucker mentioned that the residents are frustrated, and Mr. Robinson mentioned that Bowie is in a precarious situation. So I sure didn't understand that, and I didn't understand anything about if we're going to go ahead with an arts district. How can we do that if apparently the county has some
Hold it close to your mouth, please.
the county has some sort of sway over what we do. So that's, is that a question? I think it's a question.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, John, was the question regarding the county's role?
You mentioned that the county has some sort of sway over Bowie that you can't develop because you got to go to the county. Isn't that what you just mentioned?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so then you've also mentioned, though, that we're going to go up and try to do something with old Bowie and create an arts district. So, are we going to ask them, can we create the art district? I don't understand.
I think it's not for you to understand. I think we want to understand. What I hear is what the role of the county might have to do
with this being an art district.
Yeah.
So the question to them is, how might they be involved to make an art district come about?
Yeah, exactly. There's something to that.
No, sure. Stephen, are you good?
So planning and zoning authority is controlled by the PG County Council and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. Old Town already has sections that are zoned for commercial use. So I don't know what necessarily would be stopping us from changing the makeup. I know that we have longtime tenants there that haven't always maybe been the most cooperative with what we wanted to see, but those are business owners and they have their rights. So right now, I would not necessarily focus on an arts district because in 4 years, our reserve fund is going to be under 2% of our annual expenses. And our infrastructure, repairing our water is going to cost at least $60 million, and it's going to take over 10 years to repair 90 plus miles of pipe underground. All right, so these are things we'd love to see, and we will work towards that. We just need to put our oxygen mask on first. Thank you.
Linda? So to answer your question about the frustration, the people I've talked to have a sense of not feeling like they have a voice, that city council makes decisions and we're told about it later. And a lot of it, I will say, is on the residents themselves. If you don't watch the city council meetings, if you don't go to the meetings, you don't subscribe to the newsletters that Mayor Steph sends out or other district people send out, then it's on you to not know what's going on. But there's still a level of frustration that they don't know what's going on. And that requires us to be more proactive in getting information out. As for the art district, as Stephen had said, the zoning is already there for commercial properties. What we have an obstacle is that Road 564 is owned by the state. The state has some control over the road itself, the traffic flow, that kind of stuff that we just can't get control over. The state is just not going to give us a state highway and say, okay, it's yours now. I just don't see that happening in the near future. But I do agree that an art district can be developed around it if we could put the right infrastructure of parking in place to encourage people from out of the Old Bowie area to participate and to come to Old Bowie as a destination.
Thank you, Linda. Dr. Miller? Okay. So I'm going to try to answer this in 3 ways because I hear communication, because the community is frustrated, then having the arts district and the infrastructure, and then where we are as a city, right? So I have 60 seconds to do that. So let me start with communication. Yes, it is important that we communicate with our residents. Residents need to understand when major infrastructure is going to be impacted. That being said, we need to find various ways in which to communicate with our residents. So having forums is great, knocking on doors is great, and then we need to do it over time. And we need to be very clear about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what their thoughts are, and to really sift through their input and not just make a decision. That's what, oh my goodness. The second would be with the infrastructure in the arts district. That's something else that we need to put in place because we would have to collaborate with the county. We would have to collaborate with our state delegates in order to move what we need to do. And last, we need to prioritize where we are. We know where we are with the budget, so we need to prioritize what do we need to do first, second. If you want to finish. Okay.
I'll yield to my good friend in that part of the district.
You don't want to answer?
No, I will, but if he has something else to say.
Well, can I just add that the tracks make it extremely difficult to do any sort of development in that area. That is we are very limited in what we can do around those tracks. We cannot really expand parking because we're residential everywhere right there. The restrictions that are in place that are out of our control because of those tracks make it extremely difficult to do just about any type of development. I've looked into some.
Thank you. Linda, you want to add something? No. You're good? Dr. Miller, did you get it all in? All right. Carl?
All right. I think I'll give back some time on this one because my 3 colleagues to my right have clearly explained this issue. But I would also like to emphasize, because I don't want people to leave here to have the idea that, you know, we're looking over our shoulder at Big Brother. Oh my God, what is the county? As the county owns it, they're our friends. Ingrid Watson has been with us every step of the way with this revitalization project. She used to sit on the council. So again, it's not us versus them. Everybody is trying to make sure everybody is straight. And we tied our eyes and crossed all of our T's.
Thank you. All right, the next question.
Hi, my name is Annie Lawson. I live on Raymond Lane, right down the road here. And my question is regarding the new ice arena and the additional traffic that it's going to create. And I have a personal concern because I'm afraid a lot of people are going to be cutting through our neighborhoods, and we have a nice, quiet, great neighborhood. Do you have any ideas or any plans to alleviate the traffic problems that this is going to create?
So I too live in the Rockledge section, and I brought that to the attention of my city council member, the mayor, and the others during several meetings I had with them, that the ice arena is going to be a problem on 197. There's a huge parking issue. The parking lot that it's
The first American shots fired in World War I were not on the battlefields of France. It could be said that they were fired on the Arizona-Mexico border. The Mexican Revolution, which had been going on for more than a decade, created an opportunity for Germany to expand its influence and keep the United States distracted and out of the war in Europe. To this end, they supplied the Mexican government with advisors, weapons, and intelligence. General Pancho Villa, commander of the División del Norte, a well-armed force numbering in the thousands, was a beneficiary of this German military aid. Villa, one of the founding fathers and a driving force behind the Mexican Revolution, became a renegade in December of 1915 after a falling out with the leaders of the Carranza government. He and his army were driven north, where the División del Norte was defeated by General Alvaro Obregón at the Second Battle of Nogales. Pursued by General Obregón's forces along the Arizona-New Mexico border, Villa's anger grew with every mile. Villa's forces, desperate for supplies and intent on revenge, brutally attacked the small border town of Columbus, New Mexico on March 14, 1916. The battle raged for over 2 hours, ending only after an overwhelming counterattack by U.S. troops using machine guns. 8 troopers and 10 civilians were killed before Villa retreated back across the border. The death of the soldiers and civilians in New Mexico generated a strong response from the U.S. government. President Woodrow Wilson had had enough. He personally ordered General Pershing to capture or kill Pancho Villa. The 1st Arizona Infantry, under the command of Colonel Alexander M. Tuthill, immediately answered President Wilson's call, joining General Pershing in the effort to capture Pancho Villa. Colonel Tuthill and the 1st Arizona arrived at Camp Douglas in May of 1916, immediately taking up positions along the Arizona-Mexico border, preventing any further encroachment by Villa. Despite the massive effort by Pershing's force of 140,000 soldiers, Pancho Villa was never captured. Chasing Pancho Villa, however, served as the backdrop for the expansion and modernization of the Army and helped train the first American combat troops used in World War I. The U.S. Army attained a number of firsts while chasing Villa. The first truck convoy ever to be used in military activities, the first time American military planes were used to scout and transfer messages in a combat environment, and the first use of machine guns against an attacking force. Not only did the troops become more cohesive and proficient, many officers gained valuable command experience, knowledge that the American Expeditionary Force would soon use in the Great War. The 1st Arizona Infantry played an important role in the hunt for Pancho Villa, serving on the border for 15 months. During this time, Germany declared unrestricted submarine warfare, and the contents of the infamous Zimmermann telegram were publicly revealed. Germany, in the telegram, had secretly proposed a military alliance with Mexico, offering the return of Texas, Arizona, and California back to Mexican control upon a German victory. The United States could take no more, declaring all-out war on Germany, April 6, 1917. The 1st Arizona Infantry, in August of 1917, was activated into the U.S. Army, becoming the newly designated 158th Infantry Regiment. Colonel Tuthill, originally the commander of the 158th, was quickly reassigned and promoted to the rank of Brigadier General, becoming one of the youngest brigade commanders in World War I. The newly formed 79th Infantry 40th Division, with General Tuthill on the command staff, spent the next year training at Camp Kearny in California. The 158th Infantry Regiment was finally deployed to France in August 1918, where its ranks were used to replace fallen and wounded soldiers across the front. One of the most outstanding members of the original 1st Arizona Infantry was Flagstaff resident Edward M. Robeson. Lieutenant Robeson served on the Mexican border with the 1st Arizona and trained with them at Camp Kearny before deploying to France. Upon his arrival, he was promoted to captain and assigned to the 372nd Infantry Regiment, 93rd Division. The 372nd, under the command of the French Army, moved against the Germans at Mantua in October 1918. Captain Robeson was severely wounded in the attack, but stayed with his battalion for 2 days while under a constant heavy barrage of artillery and machine gun fire. He continued to lead and inspire his men until he succumbed to his wounds. Captain Robeson recovered and was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the Croix de Guerre, and the Purple Heart for his extraordinary heroism on the battlefield. Less than 1 month later, the war was over. When President Wilson arrived in France for the Paris Peace Conference, members of the 158th served as his honor guard. In addition, the 158th Military Band was chosen to entertain the peace delegates on numerous occasions throughout the conference. General Tuthill and the 1st Arizona Infantry, now designated as the 158th Infantry Regiment, served with honor and distinction in World War I. On May 18, 1917, the Selective Service Act was passed, requiring all men between 18 and 45 to register for the draft. Arizonans were quick to answer the call to arms. In a rush to serve, over 40,000 Arizonans registered for the draft from a population of less than 260,000. Of the 25,234 who were declared eligible, over 11,000 would eventually serve in the Great War. Arizona was the only state in the Union to overfill its draft quota for all 3 registration cycles. On the 3rd call-up in June of 1918, Arizona surpassed its obligation by 582 men. Under the operation of local draft boards, men were given physical exams to weed out those who weren't fit for duty. Medical examiners inspected more than 9 million men across the country in the largest such operation in United States history. On the state level, Arizona gave more physical exams per capita to registered men than any other state and had one of the lowest failure rates in the country. Only 272 men failed their draft physicals. Nationwide, flat feet affected an estimated 1 in 5 American men. In another first for Arizona, only 20 men were rejected for flat feet, the fewest in the country. The reason for this was thought to be that Arizonans typically wore a high heel style footwear, commonly known as the cowboy boot. At the end of the war, 11,410 Arizonans had served the nation. 9,957 were drafted or volunteered for service in the U.S. Army. 1,269 had enlisted in the United States Navy, and 147 had joined the Marine Corps. Arizona women were represented in this group, with 34 having enlisted as nurses in the U.S. Army and 3 becoming yeomanettes in the United States Navy. Arizona patriots responded to the call of duty with fervor, serving the nation with honor and distinction. On the home front, Arizonans of all ages and all walks of life did their part and more to support the United States effort in World War I. They actively participated in charitable organizations and worked long hours on ranches, farms, and mines, all while helping soldiers and their families. The Arizona Red Cross, even before the declaration of war, had been serving thousands of soldiers who either passed through or were serving on the border during the hunt for Pancho Villa. Once war was declared, local Red Cross volunteers began actively manning food stands known as hunger huts, where they served food and beverages to soldiers. They also made surgical dressings, clothing, and knitted garments for Army units stationed in Arizona and troops overseas. The Red Cross raised money to help fund home service activities by arranging socials, dances, barbecues, and other activities. Most of this aid went to families of Arizona servicemen sent to fight the war, but some went to refugees overseas. By war's end, the Arizona Red Cross had collected and sent over 4 tons of clothing to help the war-ravaged civilians of Europe. Throughout World War I, the YMCA provided morale and welfare services for the military. By war's end, they had operated 1,500 canteens in the United States and France, set up 4,000 YMCA huts for recreation and religious services, and raised more than $235 million for relief work. The Arizona YMCA actively supported national YMCA efforts. They provided nurses, chaplains, food, and morale-boosting activities to the people of Arizona while sending YMCA members to Europe to aid soldiers and civilians. The Salvation Army of Arizona, like the Red Cross, directly aided the families of soldiers, supplying them with food, aid, and comfort. They were well known for their pastries, making sure the servicemen passing through the state had a hot cup of coffee and a donut. Arizona troops of the Boy Scouts of America provided community services and assistance to the Red Cross and Salvation Army. They were especially helpful supporting the Red Cross in local Liberty Bond rallies and events. The Arizona Boy Scouts also answered the President's nationwide call for a black walnut tree survey. The black walnut, a native Arizona tree, was very important to the war effort, as it was used almost exclusively in the production of airplane propellers. Arizonans bought over $45 million in war bonds and contributed over $500,000 to the Arizona Red Cross. In every fundraising drive, including Liberty Bonds, thrift stamps, and Red Cross campaigns, Arizona donors filled or overfilled their quotas. The women of Arizona were instrumental in reaching these goals, being responsible for selling more than half of all war bonds sold in Arizona. The Arizona State Legislature did their part by passing state laws benefiting the Arizona men who served their country. The legislation stipulated that Arizona National Guard members would be credited for their time in the Federal Army. Arizona servicemen and their families would be protected from delinquent rents, taxes, and court actions, and guaranteed that all who served in the military would have the right to vote in all state and local elections. The farmers, ranchers, and miners of Arizona did their part, supplying many of the materials, supplies, and food items needed to run the American war machine. The cotton fields of Arizona produced thousands of bales of cotton that were used for clothing, military items, and airplanes. Long staple cotton, known as Pima cotton, was used in the production of aircraft tires and aviation fabric that was used to cover the bodies and wings of combat planes. Thousands of horses and mules were bred for the war effort, and hundreds of thousands of beef cattle were raised to feed the troops on the front. In 1917, Arizona was the largest producer of copper in the nation. This strategic metal was one of Arizona's greatest contributions in the fight against Germany. It was used in shell casings, engine parts, communications gear, and hundreds of other military applications. The caring and unselfish citizens of Arizona will long be remembered for their hard work and sacrifices made on the home front. Arizonans did their part to help win the war to end all wars. Construction of the USS Arizona began in early 1913. Designated with hull number BB-39, the USS Arizona was the second and last of the U.S. Navy's super dreadnought battleships. Launched on June 19, 1915 from the Brooklyn Navy Yard, 75,000 people, the mayor of New York, and the governor of Arizona witnessed the big event. Esther Ross of Prescott, Arizona, christened the ship with sparkling wine from Ohio and a bottle filled with some of the first water to pass over Arizona's newly completed Roosevelt Dam. The ship was named to celebrate Arizona's entry into the Union as the 48th state. As a way of connecting to the ship and publicly saying thank you to the Navy for honoring Arizona, a statewide effort was undertaken to fund the creation of a unique gift for the new battleship. Acknowledging the state's long mining history, the citizens of Arizona presented a handcrafted copper and silver service set to be used in the captain's formal dining room. The USS Arizona was considered to be the largest, most powerful, and technically advanced battleship in the world.
So, welcome back to this week's episode of the Yellow Cow Stories. I am your host, Brittany Nicole Montgomery, also known as the Disruptor. And today we have a significant treat for you. We welcome a woman whose voice, presence, and personality have shaped the media landscape across the DMV and beyond. Autumn Joy is a creator, award-winning radio and television host, Fox 5 contributor, to Dallas, actor, entrepreneur, and the powerhouse behind the Autumn Joy Live show. For more than 15 years, she has captivated audiences with her authenticity, charisma, and ability to connect deeply with people across generations. She has brought her voice to major platforms from TMZ and MSNBC to TV One and News One, and has become a trusted presence on red carpets, in community spaces, and in living rooms every Thursday at 8 p.m. Her work has earned her honors, including Radio Personality of the Year, Best Talk Show, and her very own Autumn Joy Day in Prince George's County. Ooh, look at you.
I got a lot going on.
But beyond the microphone, Autumn is a champion for women and youth. Through the Autumn Joy Live Foundation, she supports foster youth, single mothers, and unhoused women, using her platform not just to entertain, but to transform lives. I love that. Her journey embodies the spirit of the Yellow Cow Stories, women who face adversity, rise with intention, and use their voice to open doors for others. So, Autumn Joy, welcome to the Yellow Cow Story.
Wow, sorry you had to read all of that. Condensed it.
I love being an armor bearer. I love telling our audience who we're dealing with today. Hold on, just got it.
No, I feel you. Listen,
yeah.
You got it.
So you've been a recognizable voice and face in media for over 15 years.
Yeah.
So when you think back, who was Autumn Joy before the mic? Like, what pulled you toward radio in the first place?
Oh, that's a good question. I've always been like a radio girly. So I grew up in Prince George's County, and we grew up on like the Live Squad. I grew up on Michelle Wright, Jeannie Jones.
Oh, okay.
Some of like the great radio personalities in the DMV area. So all I did was listen to the radio. And I'll never forget my grandma, she sent me this little black tape recorder. And back then you had to push the play and record at the same time. And that's how old I am. With the cassette tape in, and so I would hold it up to the radio and record the song and then come back and say, that was Aaliyah, I'm Autumn Joy. So I've always had an interest in radio. I just didn't know how to hone that in.
Right.
It wasn't until I was driving down the street one day and I heard them soliciting for interns on the radio. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. I can get at a shot.
Yeah.
And so I went in and became Donnie Simpson's intern, you know? So that's just kind of where it started. So before all of that, I would just say I was just a girl that wanted to be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah. And good for you for recognizing that opportunity driving in the car. So Midday Love became more than a nickname, it became a brand. What did that era teach you about connection, audience trust, and your own voice?
So if you think of the big celebrities like Rihanna, she has her Navy. Beyonce has her Beehive, right?
Yeah.
And so I always told myself, I said, well, look, when I tap into my audience, I want them to feel like they're talking to a friend. I want them to feel comfortable listening to me.
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking of, okay, what can I say? Who can I be? What could be my tagline? And I was like, well, you know what? Midday. I'm in the midday. I love radio. Midday love. Midday love.
I love that.
And so I just, hey, it's your Midday Love, Autumn Joy Live just became my thing. And I just wanted to, for of course, brand recognition, but I just wanted my audience to feel comfortable with me. Yeah.
I love that. So the Yellow Couch Stories is about women who have faced real adversity and kept going. What's one moment in your journey where things almost fell apart, and how did you push through?
Oh, girl, how much time do we have?
We got as much time as you need.
I'll say a big significant part of my journey that was a hard pause. I was living in New York.
Okay.
And I was working with thisis50.com, working very closely with 50 Cent, the whole G Unit crew. I had a show called The Weekly Recap, that garnered hundreds and thousands of views on the website. I was on Shade 45, with the Gomez brothers, co-hosting with 50 Cent every now and then. So in the grand scheme of things, I was doing great, right? Well, they decided to switch management on This Is 50. And so they cut what I was doing, my little program. So I had to come back home to DC. And so when I came home, obviously no radio stations were hiring. So I went from New York to back home, and I had to get a job. Like I had to go work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And I know, bro. But listen, here's the thing. That was such an integral part of my journey.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I'm feeling like I failed, right?
Right.
Every time I'm checking somebody in their car, they're like, oh, has anybody told you sound like you could be on the radio? And I'm like, yeah, here's your receipt. Get out of my way. You know what I mean? Like, you get down on yourself.
Right.
But it really helped me build character.
Right.
It taught me how to be more of a people person.
Right.
I was in the management trainee program, so I learned how to do paperwork and how to be organized.
Yeah.
And all of those things that I utilize now.
Right.
All these
you learned
years
that.
later. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I never gave up on my dream. Maybe I wasn't on terrestrial radio. So I started my own internet radio show called, Star Power Radio. And so I was still making sure that I was doing something within the field that I love. And it may not have been the glitz and glam that I was used to, but I was still doing something, that made me happy.
Yeah, I love that. So you worked across radio, TV, and digital with Fox 5, TMZ, MSNBC, TV One, News One. What has it really meant to navigate those spaces as a Black woman with a distinct personality and voice?
Well, you know what? I think because I have a distinct personality, that's why I've been able to be in those spaces and kind of navigate. But to your point, being a Black woman, you do have to be a little bit more careful to not play into those tropes, right? To not do the girlfriend, all of that, but still be myself.
Exactly.
Still make sure that I'm representing for Black women. Still making sure that I'm representing for young girls that are watching and paying attention. One thing I'll never do is not speak up on a subject or say something because of who the other panelists are or because of what the network is. I'll still say what I gotta say, but I'll keep it in the format for whatever platform I'm on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's just it's just learning how to navigate.
I watch to navigate too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that comes with maturity.
Yeah. Because if I could be candid, if I'm on a panel with majority Caucasian people, of course I know, like, okay, I got to make sure, you know, I'm going to still say what I want to say, but in a way that they can
right
fully
in a different way. Yeah.
Whereas if I'm on a panel with black folk, I can say what I want to say, give it a little sass, sprinkle some seasoning on there, and still get my point across. So it's all about just knowing your audience and paying attention to your surroundings.
Yeah, I love that. So have you ever felt pressure, and we kind of talked about this, to tone down your authenticity to fit into corporate media spaces? Like, how do you handle that? Like, have you ever been told this subject is off limits, or we're not going to talk about this, or anything like that? And how do you handle that?
Oh no, girl, I don't tone it down. I'll give you an example. Like literally the other day, there was a story that came out with Burna Boy and how he got upset with the girl that was sleeping.
That was taking a nap.
Yeah, and so we were talking about it on a panel, and I was the only black girl on the panel, and so the other guys were like, "Oh, you know, it was well within his rights. She shouldn't have fallen asleep." Blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, this woman just lost her baby daddy. She's a black woman with multiple kids. The baby daddy was very active. Like, no, you know. So I really came from that perspective as a mama bear. I said, well, I hear what you all are saying, but on the flip side of that coin, you have to look at it from her perspective. You know, she's a mama. She just lost a very active father, because we want to make sure we mention that. So I make sure when I'm talking, I'm painting people, especially black folks, in a very positive light. Yeah. Because it's very easy for people to poke fun of things. But let's remember, this was an active dad. She was a mom out with her new person. She was tired, just kind of overwhelmed, going through it. Let's have some compassion. Because when it comes to black women, people don't want to have compassion for us.
And they do not.
Never. And if I'm in a space where I can use my voice to help steer that narrative in another direction, then I'm going to always do that.
Yeah, and kudos to you for doing that. So you've built Autumn Joy Live into a recognizable brand with your own award-winning TV show.
Yeah.
So when did you shift from just having a job in media to seeing yourself as a brand and a business?
Oh, you know what? The saying, you know, people say, oh, you don't have a face for radio, right? 'Cause when you fall in love with those radio personalities and you see them in person, you're like, that face don't match that body, or okay, you know, that voice doesn't match. So, but I've always been told, like, yo, you should definitely like television. And so when I've always loved talk shows, of course, like Oprah, you know, Tamron Hall, Sherry Shepherd, Wendy Williams, like all of these women, you know, I watched and I studied and I paid attention, and I was like, I want to do that one day. I know I can do that. So for me, it's not just about, you know, doing a talk show. It's about making sure that, you know, I'm getting people's authentic stories told, right, and making sure that I'm doing it on a platform where they can feel safe enough to do that, you know, and don't feel like they're going to come on and it's a bunch of gossip and it's not, you know, based on any facts, if you will. And then I also want to make sure that regular folks in our communities are getting the shine that they deserve. Yes, because there's so many great people doing things that nobody
don't get that.
Exactly, like for the Yellow Couch series. Hello, you know. So I do think that when you are a champion for the people, folks are going to always naturally gravitate to you and your brand.
Yeah, always. So what are some of the less glamorous things behind the scenes, like contracts, negotiations, ownership, content rights? And like even you mentioned before, they got new ownership, they cut what I was doing, so I had to go get a job at Enterprise. So what's some of those less glamorous behind the scenes things that you learned the hard way?
Girl, constantly getting let go from radio stations. I'm like, I'm tired of getting fired. I need to create something that can be mine, that I'm
not gonna get fired.
I ain't gonna get fired from. I don't gotta walk on eggshells, you know. And so I created Lit 106, which is a radio station on streaming platforms.
Wow.
And so we're on Apple Music, Spotify, Audilist, Alexa, anywhere you get stream, anywhere you stream, you can get the radio station. And so I started this station purely out of love for radio. You know, purely just because this is